should be live. Well, there's a little bit, but we're getting there, right? And if I can get confirmation from someone that the audio's good, that'd be great. But hello, everybody. It's Tuesday. We're exploring the libraries once again. So when we decided to do exploring the libraries, I don't know why, but I was just like, you know what, Alex's favorite champion is Nubia. I'm gonna make sure that Nubia is used as like kind of the animation for this, right?
Music's loud.
The music's loud? Okay,
yeah.
Good. I always forget about that, right? It's but your live audio is good, music is still running. Yeah. So hopefully that's fixed. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, so really the only reason Nubia is used is because I know you like Nubia. So
It's fine.
it's all right. All right. So our topic this week, we're talking about rulebook changes because this is the most exciting topic in the world, right? Even gearing up for this, we were like, okay, this is.
I'll be honest, we should have had Brad. We should have had Brad on for this one.
I did ask him about this. He's like, I'm not fully, like, he hasn't done a lot of live streams in his life, and he was a bit hesitant. I'm like, whenever you're ready, we'll bring you on for these type of things. But, and I definitely want to bring him. I think he also has D&D Tuesday nights, so.
Yeah.
That's just the thing. But no, it's good. Brad did a lot of work on getting the rulebook to 4.0. I think he did most of the heavy lifting. And then we got a lot of great input from the community. So I'm excited about a lot of the changes. And we'll see how things kind of go. There are a lot of little minor changes that we're kind of going to skim over. But we're going to dig down a little bit into the meatier topics and go back and forth about our opinions on them and things we do want to see changed in the future. All right. Is there any announcements I need to make before we jump into this? I feel like usually there's something more I need to say.
I think nothing on my end.
All right. Well, let's just jump into So the first one is kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of minor, but so we spent a lot of time and effort to try to make the rulebook really emphasize that you are the champion in gameplay. This is actually something that kind of blew me away. Do you know, Alex, why we ended up doing this change?
I assume because new people come in and they always ask, can I play this technique for my summon? Can I play this spell for my summon? Can I summon?
So yes, that's true. That does happen a lot, and it was way worse. I'll dig back into an earlier version of Genesis to talk about how it was way worse. But the real reason why we did this is because we actually had someone start playing the game and was like, where's my starting health? And we're like, it's on your champion. And they're like, how am I supposed to know that? How am I supposed to know that my health and the champion's health are the same? And we're like, oh, well, it's pretty bad if you read the rule book and you have no idea that you and the champion are one and the same. And that was definitely a big issue when it came to putting everything together. Oh, hey everyone who's coming. There was one announcement. If you're watching this, share this with people. Get more of the community coming to watch these. We would love more people to give their input, join the chat, say hi, let us know that you're watching. But all right, back to this. Earlier version of Genesis, when I did my first beta testing of the game, summons weren't actually in your deck. So what later became the energy reduction, originally it was a stat called summoning skill. And you had a number of 1, 2, or 3. And every summon had a certain amount of points. So 1, 2, or 3. And if you had 3 points of summoning skill, then you could bring out, you started the game off with summons whose total summoning points added up to 3. So you could have 1 really big creature or 3 really small creatures. And that was it. And because you started the game off with these creatures, everyone assumed that they could play cards from your hand the same way the champion could. And that was really bad. And once we put the summons into the deck and people realized, oh, I have to beckon these summons, they're separate from me, a lot fewer people made the mistake, but still, a lot of people made that mistake. It was a very common issue that we saw time and time again. So yeah, we're working really hard to make sure that the wording's consistent, that the game does emphasize that you are the champion in play. All right. The second big change that's happening going from 3.0 to 4.0 is forethoughts. We're changing it. What was the 3.0 rule? It was 15
15
cards,
cards, 75
5
points
points. Yeah.
exactly.
So it followed the same rules as your deck, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Here the big change is taking off that restriction of the number of cards and just putting that restriction on that maximum chi level. We've tested this several times.
Quite a while now, quite a
Yeah,
lot now, actually, to be honest.
it's
It's been a lot.
yeah, at least 6 or 8 tournaments, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, we've talked about this a lot, and anyone who joined us in the town hall yesterday knows that we've been discussing this a lot. What are your thoughts around it, Alex? I know
Uh,
you're the one who advocated for this one.
I think I was the first one to introduce this style, but as for specifically the rule change, it's way better. It allows for creativity in the sideboard once again,
Hmm.
because now your sideboard can be more skewed to 3 cheese or more skewed to 8 cheese to build it better for your deck to match your deck.
Yeah.
Where before, with a hard limit and a specific amount of cards, you needed to have that exact amount of chi perfectly aligning in those cards.
And I think again, it really reinforces a concept that the game is really good at showing, which is that balance between breadth versus depth. Do you want your sideboard to have a lot of utility, so a whole bunch of 3 chi cards, so that you can constantly swap them out and do a lot of things on the smaller end, or do you want to really just focus on the high chi cards and uh, change your core function? Like, where are you going to be placing those things? I've seen some really cool sideboards for this reason. Um, so I know both from the judge perspective and from the player's perspective, I do like this system a lot more.
Mhm.
Uh, Now we never, oh, we never did forethoughts like the 3.0 rules for forethoughts in any tournament, did we? I think we did it once in a
I think
tournament.
we did it once. I think we did it once.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that even from sorry, I'm just muting my phone.
Yeah, we definitely did it once, and I argued that 15 was a terrible number. That's what I remember. That's what I remember. And I was like, it needs to be 20. Even 16 or 18 was fine.
Yeah.
Because I literally didn't have a chi. That 15th card, I did not have a 5 chi in my deck to physically ever play it.
Yes. Yeah. I remember that. Anyways, we've talked a lot about forethoughts in the past. I don't want to keep digging into this. There's other topics I definitely want to be chatting more about. But this is, I want to make it very clear. We're moving forward with using this style of forethoughts with the lock and show, with the 100 chi system. Is this going to be our solution forever? No, we're exploring other options. But
Yeah.
this is the one that solved, like, checked off all the concerns we had about putting in a forethought, putting in a sideboard into this game. So I encourage everyone to try it, give their honest opinion, and we will continue to try to make the game as best as we can in the
Yeah.
future. All right, now we get into some new stuff. Uh, let's talk about passive versus active abilities. This is something that was not defined in 3.0 or any previous version of the rulebook, but abilities now have more of a meta tag to them. There's passive abilities that the player doesn't choose to activate, they activate on their own at a given time. So these are trigger, continuous, or immediate effects. And then there's active abilities versus, which are swift and action. And these are things that you are choosing to play at a given time. Uh, Besides calling those out, what more does this add to the game having these meta tags?
Calling them out. I think calling them out is really what this is here. At the end of the day, it just allows the players understand the what's going on in the back end,
Mm-hmm.
as well as you play the cards.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever seen a player try to activate a passive ability.
No,
I
but
don't think.
I think the thing we've seen in the past are abilities that say played, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Negate target ability played this round. And
That's
so
true.
Cog Restrict. Cog Restrict, can it negate Nubia's Visions ability? Well, no, because Visions isn't played, but that was never defined in earlier
Yeah.
rules. Um,
Oh, I remember the whole battle cry monkey scenario.
yes,
If you guys don't know what that is, so Galababoon, no, not Galababoon,
Formosan Gorilla.
Formosa Gorilla enters the battlefield. It throws a rock. It deals 2 damage, but it doesn't play that ability. It's a trigger. And then Battlecry says target attack played by a summon deals 3 more damage. And it feels like, oh yeah, this would be a perfect thing to Battlecry, and it just didn't work, and it made me sad.
Yeah. And the thing is, I know there's been so many times where I thought about that combo too, and I'm just throw it up on the screen. There's the Formosan. There's been so many times where I thought about that combo too, and I'm running those 2 cards because of both Thymos, and you're like, this is a great synergy. Why don't I put these together? And it doesn't work, and it's so annoying because it would help a lot against Angels. It would help a lot against Baruchs, but no, you can't do that. uh, and this is where it starts making it a lot clearer. So if you have something like Battlecry and it says play ability, well, now we're talking about active abilities. We're talking about swifts and actions. So you can play Battlecry off of the swift range attack 2, but not the trigger. And it just makes it a little bit more clear. Who brought up the played versus active? I think this came up a few times in different conversations. I know I had the exact conversation about Cog Restrict and whose passive ability. It had to be Nubia's, but it was like, can you Cog Restrict some passive abilities? And it was like, no, because they're not played, they're triggered, so you couldn't do that. And then Alex had that situation that he was talking about with the Formosan. It's coming up in different situations from different players all over the place. Now,
Yeah.
do you ever foresee us having a summon that has an ability that says um, cannot uh, negate or cancel or all passive abilities?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
easily. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, having these meta tags then just gives us the ability to start calling them out and putting them onto
Yeah.
cards in the future, right? So that's going to be a big thing, I think, moving forward with 4.0. Spoiler alert: do we have any plans for this in Origins?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Off the
so
top of my head.
this is just seeding that information in for future sets, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. All right. The other one, which is actually going to be directly applicable once we get into second edition, is allies versus enemies. I think this is a keyword mechanic that players have been wanting from the very beginning of the game. Like, you want an effect that heals just your stuff, or shut, like a Guardian Balance, Day of Peace. Why can't that just shut down your opponent's stuff? Why is it shutting down everything?
Ooh. I didn't think of that specific card until right now. That had that tag. Interesting.
So for you personally, what was your first experience of being like, this is very limiting that Genesis doesn't do this?
I don't know. I can't picture off the top of my head when my first time was, but just looking at all the permutations that those different categories give you is so dramatic.
Yeah.
You can literally take a singular card. Like, let's just look at a damaging spell, deal 1 damage, deal 1 damage to an ally, deal 1 damage to an enemy, and deal 1 damage to anything. Those have 3 completely different connotations to them.
Yeah. So, do you have any ideas of why I never implemented it from the beginning? What's
that
your
I
theory?
don't. Okay. Okay. Here's my weird theory. We're gonna go crazy here. Is that what if the battle you're having isn't an enemy, but it's a training session. I don't know.
um, I like almost like the X-Men Danger Room type of feeling.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
just start destroying your own stuff. Just start attacking anything. Um, no, that wasn't it. But that's actually on a very subtle reason. That is kind of it. It was mainly because I did not see the reason of restricting cards to not allow you to harm your own stuff.
Mhm.
So if you think of alpha, there isn't a whole lot of things that you would want that separation. That you want that
Yeah,
separation that this only affects allies or only affects enemies. Guardian Balance is one of the exceptions, but for the most part, things like um, you know, cross punch, you could punch your own stuff if you really needed to, and very rare, but there have been situations where I've seen that happen. It's like rampage shots. If we had allies and
yes,
enemies in there, people may not have seen that depth of a card like rampage shots of being able to
for sure.
toss your own things. Also, the other side to it is if it was on cards like tsunami or bolt shot, imagine how much more powerful those cards would be if
Yeah.
they did not hurt your own things. So it was a way to give the game a bit more objectivity, saying if you're going to hit this area with a tsunami, you're gonna hit everything in it. You can't control that. And if your opponent's able to blink shard you into a bad situation and use tsunami your own stuff, that's on you, right? Uh,
Yep.
and so that was a big purpose to it, and also the feeling of the summons having autonomy. Of once they're on the board, they could choose to turn around and attack their master. They wouldn't because of the way the gameplay works, but they could if they really
Hmm.
wanted to.
Yeah.
And it does resemble a little bit closer to the real world experience. Now, there was one big issue with that, and this is the one card that's going to get an errata and changed when come out to second edition. So I guess this is the first technical spoiler of second edition, if anything.
I would
But
say Baruch was the first spoiler.
I've had no one message me being like, "Wait, is that art different?" Like all the banners and everything use Baruch. I don't know. For everyone who's watching, I'll let you know. Yes, Baruch's getting an alternate art in second edition, and it's that artwork that you see on the banner. Um, but one card that is getting changed is Puppet Control. And the reason behind this was the way the cards, the way I wanted the game to work is that champions don't control summons. They're on the same team, but you don't control them. So if you think of the old wording in Puppet Control, it says gain control of target summon and Puppet Control's awareness. Changing that to target enemy summon and Puppet Control's awareness, which he acts or less, becomes your ally. It now feels more about how things are changing, right? It gives that feeling of this thing was my enemy, now it's my ally. And it works within the rules of the game, the context of the game. And now that someone can still attack you, but now it's your ally, you control it. So, what are some other things that you could see allies and enemies being used for in future sets?
all over the place. You could use effects that say uh, both. It could say if you target an enemy, do this. If you target an ally, do this.
Mm,
That is the potential.
yeah.
Um, and it's pretty much what you said right there. You can go and make a rampage toss that is a potentially a lower chi, but it only targets your allies or it only targets your enemies. There's all those different routes
Yeah.
now that you have available. Literally, there's it could go anywhere. It could really go anywhere.
Yeah. Um, so just in the comments there, is Rebound getting a new art? I'm not gonna say anything about that. Uh, and then Steve says, "I like the wording; it's clearer." Yeah, like Puppet Control, the new wording definitely a lot more solid. And it does kind of, I like it a lot more because it lends more into melding between the words that are on the card and the flavor of the game. Just that idea that this is my enemy, now it's my ally. I'm controlling it. It's definitely there's cleaner synergy.
Yeah.
All right, and then the Queen of Squirrels. I know that there was a time that you had your own summon attack you so that you could use a card to get away from a tsunami. Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
times like Decoy Rabbit, right? The only way to play Decoy Rabbit is if you're being targeted, and this way you can have your own summons target you, so you can use Decoy Rabbit. If the game was so structured in such a way that summons could only attack enemies, like it is in most other TCGs, it you couldn't do the things that you needed to gain tactical advantage.
Yeah.
So
Very true.
I like the fact that the game was built on a foundation without having allies and enemies, and now we're leaning towards it. Um, it is a keyword that was always scheduled for. Actually, it was more scheduled for the set after Origins, but we
I
needed
pushed
it
it.
now.
I kept pushing it on you, Sid, until you added it.
Yeah. There's definitely been
And
some
then,
cons about bringing you into the game design team.
to be fair, you know what? Like I was pushing it, but I wasn't pushing it hard. It was actually second edition, I think, when you were like, "Wait, we have to reprint puppet control."
Yeah.
All right, we're putting enemies on here. That was it. That was
Yep.
really, I think, the straw.
And really, we could have just got away with putting. Well, no, we have both keywords on puppet control. So
Yeah.
this is one of those times where second edition actually gave us a lot of opportunities to add things into the rulebook that we need for future sets to clean up the game as a whole. There was, ooh, okay. There's another big thing that's happening, but I'm gonna leave that later for other second edition spoilers.
I
But
don't know which one you're talking about.
techniques.
Yeah,
Yep. So,
techniques, yep.
there's second edition gave us an opportunity to kind of do a soft reboot on the game, and bringing allies and enemies in now gives us the opportunity to seed things in for what's the next set after Origins?
Invasions.
Invasion? Yes.
Yeah.
So, it's really cool. I'm really excited about that, and we'll see where things kind of go from there. All right. The next thing that's on our list of things to talk about are ailments. So, in the rulebook, we're going to be introducing the concept of ailments. So you don't gain. For example, like stun, you actually gain the ailment stun, and stun itself will cause you to not move or rotate. Kind of like how before you gained elemental weakness, now
Yeah.
you're actually gaining stun. What are all the ailments that are being added? Do you remember them off the top of your mind?
Decay, all the brands, stun. Um,
Yeah, I'm just in the rulebook now, but I was not out the right.
pacify.
Yes.
Decay, pacify, stun, weakness. Those are the four
Yeah, yeah.
currently.
So the idea of you're gaining these effects that are detrimental. Now, why do you
Steve says,
remember?
"What about drunk?" Not yet.
Future
Not yet.
sets.
Not in the
Future
game
sets.
yet.
um, do you remember why we're putting it in now? Like, what was the reason of making the shift now?
Oh, okay, yeah. I do actually, and it really comes down to designing. When it comes to designing cards, and you go, I want to design a card that is, let's just say, anti-stun. If the card just says remove stun, that's pretty much unplayable to put in your deck, and that goes against what we're trying to do for our player base. We don't want to design cards that are bad for people to play. So as an umbrella, having a protective card that can clean up everything makes it much better.
Yeah. And now we can have even summons that have abilities to say this summon cannot gain ailments,
It's true.
right?
Yeah.
And that will allow for more encompassing things. Again, it's just another meta tag in a way, another higher level way of talking about an umbrella of abilities. So just to show how this works, I have Gut Punch up. Should we show that? I
Sure.
might as well. So Gut Punch. This just kind of gives you an example of how that changed. So if a champion or summon is dealt damage by Gut Punch, then they gain stun until the end of round. And in stun, this champion or summon cannot move or rotate. Uh, this allows, like we were saying, things. We can even have cards that say all ally summons lose their ailments, and this is a much more encompassing, can do a lot more broader stuff compared to before, where it was just like target summon or all summons lose stun, or if it's like lose stun, stun, decay, weaknesses, then what happens if a new ailment comes in the future? We have to what do you call it? Errata that.
Yeah.
So, uh, yeah, there's a lot of like little things that add value of having this higher umbrella term of ailments. Um, yeah, I would love to hear from the people in the chat. How are ways that you could see us leveraging these keywords and some cooler abilities in the future? All right, so the this is actually going to be a short live stream because yes, there's a lot of changes that are happening in the rulebook, but no, a lot of it is kind of really boring to talk about. So I'm not going to dig into those. But there is one thing that we did preemptively, and we just started seeding the rulebook with a lot of things that are be coming out in future sets. So anyone who's part of Future League, you'll know the mechanic line of sight. That's not actually being used in second edition, but it has plans for Origins. So there is actually a lot of benefit if you go through like the glossary and things like that to see mechanics that will be coming up in the future. It's pseudo spoilers in a way, I guess. But yeah, that's definitely one thing we're just starting to do. So the rulebook is scheduled to launch with second edition uh, we have a date internally of when we're hoping to launch, but we can't say it yet.
I
But
just saw I was watching your face. You're like, I want to say it. I just want to say it.
I want to say it so badly, but we've been advised not to say it just yet because we don't want to be, you know, anchored down to that date. But uh, it should be coming soon, and when it does, we will. The rulebook will come into effect the week before. And I think the goal is all rulebook updates will come into effect a week before the set launch. Does that make sense to you, Alex?
It makes sense. However, I wouldn't lock us down to that. If we need to change a rule,
Yeah.
we're gonna change the rule.
Well, that's why we have 4.0, right? So
Yeah,
we can do 4.1 if we need to do like a quick update between sets. But if the rulebook is pretty solid leading into that set, then I think a week before the set launches, we'll put that up. So,
sure.
yeah, we don't print the rulebooks, Darren. It's just it's a lot of paper, and that's just not good for the environment. Plus, the next part is it's expensive, right? It's a lot of paper. You're printing it. No one wants to pay for a rulebook. Like, who's gonna pay, whatever the cost is for just the rulebook? So you got to give them away for free, and they're not super easy to make. I know when I was printing out Alpha and I was getting the quotes for the rulebook, it was a 10-page rulebook, and it was increasing the price of the starter kits by like $7, and it was already an $80 starter kit. So I'm like, I don't think people want to pay $7, like paying $90 for a starter kit, and just because of the rulebook. All right, yeah, you make a good point, Steven. Warhammer does do that. The codexes are essentially just rulebooks. You got me there. but give me an example in the TCG space. Someone's gonna say it. I just imagine JC is gonna be there and be like, "Yeah, this company sells their rulebooks." Um, so I think if you do want a physical rulebook, the best bet is just, and I don't want to be cruel about it, but just print it off yourself. It's uh, in the long run, it's just a lot easier for us, and it keeps the cost of the game down, and that's a big thing for us, right? We want it. Already, the booster packs are more on market than I want them to be, and we're working hard to bring that cost down. But we just need to get through this next few hurdles of distribution and a bunch of other things. All right. So I'm looking at. Is there anything else from the rulebook that we missed bringing up? There is a section for dichotomies now. Just because we've had a lot of people, even though it's in the rulebooks in a lot of places, people still have difficulties knowing the difference between like move versus place, occupied versus unoccupied, allies versus enemies. That's brand new, but that's also there. So any of these dichotomies we're going to be putting into a key section because these are used a lot. So I think it's really important that we highlight those. And then yeah, I think the other one, which is standardizing the enchantments to all say attach.
Yeah, go back to
Yep.
Raise and look at all the enchantments.
I don't know how that happened. We worked so hard. Editing is difficult to go through the sets and make sure that things are kind of standardized.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Ah, JC, there was none. Haha, I win. In TCG, no company sells a rulebook, so I feel proud.
So you're saying that we should
Ah, yeah.
trendsetters.
We'll have a rulebook product, and if you buy the rulebook, you get like some special promo card, and it's like Kendra, instead of holding her Book of the Damned, she's holding the rulebook.
Yeah.
She's just like reading. And like it's unhinged and she's reading the rule book. It's like these don't make sense. It'd be so good. It'd be so meta. It'd be so Kendra. Yeah, that's basically covers everything I really wanted to talk about rulebook changes. Uh Anything that's on your mind?
I'm trying to think, looking at rulebook changes. There's not much. A bunch of immediate stuff was missing from the rulebooks.
Yeah.
But nothing exciting to talk to you guys about.
Rulebooks are one I just a generally really difficult thing to manage. And manage expectations. I know on one end I started reading the rulebook and it was very comprehensive, and a lot of people are like, I'm not gonna read that. And then I'm like, okay, I'll make a condensed version. And then other people are like, but this doesn't have all the rules I need. And it's hard finding that balance. And I think in the long run, we're also looking at making 3 separate rule books. The condensed version, the standard version, and the comprehensive version. And the
Yeah.
condensed version is just, hey, you're brand new to the game, read these 3 pages, and that gives you the gist of the game.
Yeah.
And then this would be the standard rule book, which gives you kind of that overarching, like, it digs into more details, but it doesn't go to the extreme details. And then the comprehensive, like, have you? Well, I'm sure you have read the Magic the Gathering comprehensive rulebook, or at least segments of it.
Yeah,
It
a while ago.
reads like a law book. Like
Yeah,
it's like
it is.
Rule 7.8 dot 17 bracket C clause canary yellow. It gets really absurd. I can't read these things. But it looks like as the championship gets bigger, like, and we'll have more of a competitive scene, it's something we'll
Yeah.
eventually have to do.
Darren says that he wants a rule book at the auction table for the championships.
What makes that auction worthy? Does it have to be like handwritten? Should I hire someone to handwrite the entire rulebook and like hand sketch images and examples? It's like, all right, we'll put this up for auction. That would be epic.
Oh.
Speaking of auction, I mean, we have some extra time. Let's talk about some things that we're hopeful about. With the news that the vaccine's kind of rolling out, and at least Ontario and a lot of parts of Canada will be opening up more and more. I think we're very hopeful of doing a championship this year.
I think so.
Yeah,
I very much think so.
that would be really cool. We already have a soft book for a location, which we're planning to use. We're looking at potentially using the same location of last year. It was a nice space.
Yeah, it was nice.
It was very pretty. It's just, I know getting to it was a bit of a challenge because how many people drive out to Cambridge? But
It's true.
I like the location. I like the venue. I like how lenient they were with a lot of the rules. Because originally, when I talked to a lot of venue spaces, especially ones that have a kitchen, and I asked them, "Can I bring outside food?" They said no. It was like a hard no. And when I asked that hotel, and I was like, "Can we bring outside food?" They're like, Yeah, just open the side door. No one needs to know. It doesn't matter. So, uh, I think it's a very good space, and if we get both rooms, so we're not
Mhm.
just in that one room, we can use a one room dedicated for gaming, which would give us a lot more seats, and then
Yeah,
use the other room for the auction, and if we end up having kind of that retail space as well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
like, how did you feel about there being a vendor booth?
That was fun. It
Yeah,
was good. Yeah, yeah. It's very important. Um, Especially when you grow, it'll be even more important.
yeah,
Because I think one of the guys I brought, one of his sleeves broke, so we had to go get new sleeves.
that's true. That's true.
There's just these little things like, what if for some reason you're missing a card from your deck and
Oh,
you need to pick it up? There's all these little things, right?
now that's the issue that we had last time, which is for a lot of technical legal reasons, Haunted Castle Gaming cannot sell singles, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I can't be like we can't be the vendor, but then how do we
yeah.
choose who gets that
Well,
opportunity to be
Steve
the
did it last time. I would
yeah.
just assume. But no, in the long run, like I'm thinking bigger events.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know about championships, but generally when I'm thinking like GPs and all that, you usually have lots of events. You have multiple vendors
Oh, okay.
generally when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something you choose. It's just something people can sign up for.
Okay. Well
Yeah.
then, yeah, I think that'd be a good thing to keep in mind. Does that mean like another 17-hour plus days? Uh, Actually, we have. It, it might be more. We have planned.
Darren says that the vendors should fight each other for the right to sell.
We
They have
should
to win
get
Genesis.
a arena, like a life-size arena. You know how they make the life-size
Yeah.
chessboards?
Yeah.
We'll just make a life-size arena, and all the vendors have to come in and cosplay, and actually like walk off and play games with Genesis, but in person. It'd be so good. I know
Yeah.
Carl's been looking at cosplaying long for a long time. Well, the plan was he was going to come to Anime North last year as long, like cosplay as long, but it, COVID happened and we couldn't do
Yeah.
that. So yeah, the championship. I'm really excited about that. I'm really hopeful that we can get together and actually do like potentially even a qualifier tournament before the championship. Um, Now I'm just trying to figure out a way to fill space. I can't think of anything off the top of my mind. Should we just call it early?
I think we'll call it early today.
Is everyone okay if we just call it early? Would you hold that against us?
Well, actually, let's start with. Do you guys have any questions? We haven't asked if you have any
That's
questions.
true.
We'll give you guys. You got 2 minutes. I'm not giving you more than 2 minutes. You get 2 minutes from me.
Well, what happens if they're on a 5-minute lag?
If they're on a 5-minute lag, too bad.
Don't watch on YouTube anymore. Facebook. It doesn't lag that much on Facebook.
No, yeah. The Facebook one's pretty quick.
So I would ask you, if we had the championship last year, what, and you weren't, part of the team at that point. Well, were you by the champion? No, you just joined.
No, I was not.
Just this year. So if in 2020 we had the championship and you were competing, what deck would you have brought?
Oh, that is a great question. Weirdly enough, I am inkling towards my long deck, but I feel like the closer and closer it would have come to it, I would have just folded and picked a Nubia deck.
Do you think we would have seen as many Nubia decks in the 2020 championship as we did in 2019? Like, did Raze change things enough, or was it just not enough of a change?
That's more of a harder question. I don't know. I don't know in that case. And like honestly, I don't think I didn't in the championship that I played in. I don't think Nubia was the predominant champion there.
She was.
She was?
Yeah, I think about 40% of the decks were running Nubia.
It's hard for me. I didn't face a single Nubia.
All right. I could actually bring that up, but we did have some questions come in, so I'm gonna start. So, is Sid gonna cosplay? If I were to cosplay, who should I cosplay as? Because that's always been my issue about cosplaying, is that there aren't this is
I
goes
got it.
back
So
to
you should cosplay as Erica, and you have to also bring in a Baihu with you.
I'll just bring up my cat. Ethel, where are you? Ethel. Ah, I wish she was right here. I would have grabbed her and tried. But um, like this has always been my issue about cosplay and stuff like that. One, I'm just not a super comfortable person. Like when I was in drama class in high school, I always played a role where I didn't have to put makeup on. I was just not comfortable doing that. But if I could overcome that, there aren't a lot of character. Oh, there she is. Ethel. Here's my Baihu. Say hi, right there. Oh, nope, nope, she's running away.
Someone take a picture. I hope somebody took a picture so we can make an Erica promo assist in the cat.
She ran away. She doesn't like me anymore. So I think Core would be a really awesome a character to um, cosplay. One because like I don't have to worry too much about my personal complexion because there aren't a lot of brown characters and a lot of things that I feel comfortable cosplaying as. Also, the issue with Genesis is that there aren't a lot of male characters, so I'm not. I mean, that also makes things a bit challenging. But I also think I'm kind of close when it comes to the arm structure of Core. Like, I definitely have more weight in my tummy, but
Mhm.
when it comes to arms and legs, I think I'm a lot closer to Core as a character. So I'd be more comfortable cosplaying as Core. Who would you cosplay as?
Well, before I say who I cosplay, I agree with you. So I actually did do cosplay for a while, but there's people who do cosplay, and it's like wearing the same clothes as the character, and then like you look nothing like the character, and that's not me. I need to be like exactly what the character needs to look like. So when it comes to anime, and anime was what I would cosplay as, there's rarely facial hair, and then if it is, it's on a tall guy. So I literally could not cosplay as anybody. So what I ended up with doing was I would make monster suits, full-on costumes that I built, and I would just wear something that fully covered everything. So it's sort of the Core thing, like you said. Okay, if I was to cosplay somebody in Genesis, I would cosplay as Celestial Hegemon, and I'd have to figure out how to float off the ground.
Oh, that was good. I didn't even think about like non-champions. Oh, the Hegemon. That would look super cool. Especially if you could get like some sort of hydraulics or like mechanical part to make the other crystal spin.
Yeah.
Oh, that would look so cool. Yeah. You got me there. Now, if there was one character that I was like, I'd be fully comfortable cosplaying as, like, I wish I was comfortable cosplaying as, it would be Kun. I think the wings are really cool, and then there's just something about his attire that like is really nice. On top of it, if it's a hot day, you're gonna stay cool. Like right now, it's summer. I'm boiling right now. I'm like, I would not want to wear the intense amount of makeup that I've seen people at Anime North. I'm like, how do you do that? I don't get it.
Steve says he's gonna cosplay as Fortification.
Encased in stone. If people ask you what happened, you're like, I came dressed up as rain and they encased me in stone. All right. JC asks. All right. I assume this is JC. What champions will be spoiled at the championship? All right. I know when we did the race spoiler, that was awesome. That was probably one of my biggest highlights of running this company. I had so much fun, and just seeing everyone's face when they saw that banner, that was super cool. It all comes down to releases, right? What release schedules look like, what we have done at that point. I love the idea of giving people who show loyalty, like people who are still watching the stream, even though we were done 15 minutes ago, giving them extra stuff. So I would definitely find a way to spoil something. I would definitely find a way to make the experience of coming to the championship more than just playing in the event, right? But the thing is, we can't say what we would spoil because then it'd spoil it right now.
Well, I'm gonna say something. It's just because we're talking about cosplay. So I had this weird idea, and I haven't even brought it up to you. It was and don't expect anything like this, people. But it was, we got professional cosplayers to cosplay as the champions. Then we got a photographer to take a picture, and there was a cosplay champion cards.
Yeah, I know a couple who do a lot of cosplay stuff, and they do it semi-professional. Like they make some money off of it. Uh, and I did ask them about what would it be like for you to cosplay some Genesis stuff. So we're still batting around that idea, but I think they would be perfect, like size, build, and appearance to do Fong along.
Mm.
So I think that would be really cool. All right, Steve, you asked if when the rulebooks need to be updated, will there be patch notes attached to the beginning of the rulebook as time goes on? Would you read them? If you read them, I will put them there. Because I've done it in the past, and I noticed no one read them. And I was like, oh, well then I'm not going to spend my time. Like, this is one thing I've learned a lot about running a company is that I have very limited time every single day, and there's way more to do in a given day than I have the time to do it. Even Alex has the time to do it. So I'm not going to delegate this down to anyone on my team if there's no value add for the community. So you tell me if it's a value add for you, if it's something you really want, we'll make it happen. But if it's something that you feel it's a nice to have, but you wouldn't reference it, then let us dedicate our time on making, testing the game, working on the game, making the game a lot better, and like let us prioritize that. But if it's something you truly want, then yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid answer.
Yeah, I think so. There was a good other question from Steve that I forgot as we were talking about cosplays.
Okay.
Is there going to be a mobile friendly download of the rulebook? It is a mobile friendly download of the rulebook
Yeah.
a possibility. Those want to put it on their phone/device.
Is a PDF not mobile friendly? I would love to know. I've downloaded it a few times.
Yeah, it is. It's got to
Yeah.
be.
It
Yeah.
should be. I'm pretty sure it scales. Depends what phone you have. Don't tell me you have a flip phone. That's a whole other issue. I would love to create a mobile app that like allows you to easily search through the rulebook or something like that. I'll talk to a developer, see what's possible out there.
Well, I would just, if we could, add it. Whoever does our life and aura counter thing, put it
Yeah,
on there.
that's
Yeah,
true.
just a
That's true.
tab.
Um, all right, Darren, is there an age requirement for championship? No. This is a big thing we had to do for Ontario. I wanted everyone to participate. So that's why there's actually no entry fee into the championship. Because the moment we put an entry fee, and it's a game of chance, and there's a prize pool, especially a cash prize pool, then it's considered gambling in Ontario. And every area has different laws, but Cambridge, where we hosted last time, it was very strict about these three things. If one of those three things is not true, then it's no longer gambling, and you can have anyone come and participate. So that's why we made the championship in 2019 completely free. And in the future, we may have um, some tickets that you can purchase. And if you purchase those tickets, you're paying for some perks, but the entry into the tournament will maintain to be free. That's the plan as of right now. As we grow, that may change, and we'll give more details as we kind of go on. All right. Is there a question you see?
No, I think that's it for the questions on the Facebook side. But I want to buy the perk that just puts me right into the finals.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I know you made a comment about it, how it wasn't necessary that we got dinner for everyone at the championship, but it's one of those things that. So my dad used to host these conventions called the World Religions Conference, and he did them for 30 years, and then eventually he got too old to do them and passed it off to the rest of the religious community. But he had this philosophy of if you want people to stay, like you want people to stay for the entire event, give them food. Because if you give them food, they're less likely to leave. And if you give them semi-heavy food, then they're less likely to get up from their chair and they want to sit for a longer period of time. So the idea here was like, if I gave the community their meal, then they wouldn't have to leave, and then we're less likely to have to start the next round late or have other
Yeah.
issues like that. If everyone's already there, then you could just say, "Hey, we're just starting the next round. Let's go." And I know everyone's sitting for a long period of time. It makes it a little bit easier to have some food that's heavier and will last you for the rest of the tournament compared to like if I got everyone salads and it's like, all right, now I'm hungry after 30 minutes. So I like doing the pizza thing. If I have the budget, I'm going to continue doing it. Would anyone oppose me if I said, "Hey, I'm doing pizza," and they're like, "I'm not coming to this tournament now. Free food? No." I'm not.
My father was killed by pizza.
uh, yeah. I mean, there were some dietary restrictions that we had to manage around, but it was all in all, I thought I I did enjoy being able to do that for the community. So it made me happy. Uh, is Steve going to do the card borders as well? What is that in reference to?
Um, oh, who said it?
In Twitch, I'm assuming that's JC.
I think he's asking in his cosplay if it's gonna be if Steve is gonna be the full card.
uh, yeah, I would love to see that, like a giant card just walking around and you got your arms out. But then playing might be difficult. I would definitely appreciate that. All right, I think if there's no more questions, let's just wrap it up here. Uh, I'm gonna say thank you to everyone who participates in these live streams. Thank you to all our Patreon members, and thank you to all the future leaguers. I love the community. They've done so much to make sure that the game is solid, that it's moved forward in a really positive direction, and then also with everyone who helped write the rulebook, because rulebook writing is can get very very boring.
Yep, that's fair.
Yeah, that's it for this week. What are we already have next week planned, right?
Yeah. But Steve told us he can't cosplay flat. He's tried.
All right. Well, we'll figure something out, right, Steve? We'll figure out something awesome and make it so. I just want to double check. What is our topic for next week? It is. Ooh, we're doing the versus deck next week.
Oh.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm gonna do this as a quick little spoiler.
I was gonna say, do you have it on?
I do. So this is actually just a prototype. It's not the actual thing, but I got the actual, like the versus deck box thing going on here. It looks super cool. I am excited about this. I hope everyone else is. And I think next week we're just gonna be jumping on tabletop and showing the two decks and playing through them, right?
I think so.
So come join us. It's gonna be awesome. All right, that's everything for this week. Thank you again for joining us, and we will chat with you. Well, come to my show on Friday. I have a live stream at 6 p.m. on Friday. If not, join us next week. All right, bye.
Bye.